So the name of the game today is technique and balance. We'll get into the balance stuff later, but when you're doing these complicated movements with the barbell, there's so much stuff to think about that what helps me is oftentimes I will pick one thing a day that I want to work on. And today I decided to try to clean without jumping forward because oftentimes when I clean or snatch my feet come forward and I don't understand why, so I'm trying to be really focused on my feet and the landing position after contact to not be jumping forward and underneath the bar. And also that has to do with balance too, because I think sometimes if I have to jump forward, then the bar must be going forward too, which means it's not going straight up and down like it's supposed to. And I also am thinking about having a nice tight pull like it to my catch. I don't want any bar crash. I don't want the bar flying up in the air and crashing down on my deltoids. I think that's, you know, oftentimes how people can lose some lift sometimes because when that weight comes crashing down, it's hard to hold on to. But I pick a spot on the wall in front of me. That's something I want to talk about too when we see Zimmerman snatch here in a second. Is your eyes. I pick a spot on the wall and I keep my eyes there. I don't close my eyes. I don't look up. I don't look down. I focus my glare directly on some point in front of me. Sometimes it's that little that black line between the paint and the where the paint changes color. But you'll see here with Zimmerman with the balance thing, it's like you see he's throwing his head so high, and it's something I didn't notice when we were in there lifting. He's a really powerful kid. But when his head flies up like that, I don't see how he can find his balance again. And you can see when he goes up to a little bit higher in the weight. I mean, he's strong enough to get this weight, but his neck and head, he's looking at the ceiling. Your whole balance has got to be off at that point, and when you're catching a bar overhead, you have to be very, very very, very balanced, and you have to really be aware of where you are. And you see right there, he throws the bar so far behind him. I think it's because that's where his eyes are looking. I'm not an expert in this stuff, but it's something I didn't notice when we were in there lifting on Monday, because we're finished with our 3-week like reintroduction program, so we can just kind of do whatever we want right now. And so we chose to work on these complicated movements because we have the time to do it right now and keep the weight light and try to get better at our technique. And I think you can always get better at it. But it's just really fun to get in there now. He goes heavy. He was working up to a heavy single, and again, you're gonna see his head even more is thrown back like that, and that's something that I know that he's gonna watch this video and he's gonna be conscious of it. But just pick a spot on the wall with your eyes and don't move, and that's pretty much with every lift, even bench press. You stare at one part in the ceiling. When you squat, you keep your eyes fixated on something in front of you because your body follows your eyes, and if your eyes are moving around, then there's no way that you're gonna be balanced. And you see here he's looking down when he started, and then he's looking directly up, and so his whole equilibrium must be off, and I think that's why he's not holding on to these lifts and finishing them. And it's something that I hope that we can work on together later in the week. I'm not in Berlin right now, so I hope he watches this video and works on it. And it was something too when he was squatting. Like I'm sitting here and I'm watching the weight, the letters on the weight, and if that weight starts to roll on the bar, it means that the bar is not staying over the middle of his foot. And anytime you're lifting, squatting, or pressing overhead, you want to or deadlifting, you want to maintain the bar over the middle of your foot as much as possible. And on this first set of squats, it seemed to me that he was kind of rushing through it, not really focused on the balance part of it. I don't know where his eyes are looking, but that's something that we're going to talk about hopefully next time I see him. But the weight moves a little bit, and so it tells me that the bar is going forward over the middle of his foot, closer to his toes, which is going to make his heels rise up off the ground, and everything's going to be kind of messed up. And he was supersetting with some press, and the same thing, with the head. You see his eyes; he's looking up, and then he's looking at the ground. And I think when he does that, he's pushing the bar past overhead, and it's actually going behind him closer to his heel. You see right there, it's not over the middle of his foot anymore. So when people have those problems, my suggestion is always just slow it down. Try to pick a spot and keep your eyes focused, but also just slow down the whole movement, and just try to focus on the balance. You don't want the bar moving around on your back. You don't want the bar drifting forward and backwards over the middle of your foot. Everything has to be very consistent. And so slowing it down always helped me in the past, and it's something that I suggest to a lot of people. And then my man Giannis is back. He's back. This is a kid I've been coaching since he was in the youth team, and he's just getting back into the swing of things. So he was in there throwing some weights around with us. But you'll see we're going to go through a few sets of Zimmerman squats. I think this is really good teaching stuff for any young kids that watch my channel. Weightlifting is so important, and you don't want to get hurt in the gym. So you gotta, football is dangerous enough. So we gotta be safe in the gym, and that comes from mastering these movements that we perform with a heavy load. I mean, this isn't heavy for Max at all, but it's something where if he's gonna choose 100 kilos a squat, he needs to focus on doing it perfectly. And in this set, he did slow it down, and it got a little bit better. But his heels were still popping up a little bit, and so that tells me that the bar is still moving forward over the middle of his foot. And then with the press, you're gonna see he loses balance in some of these reps too. You can see his body kind of sways back and forth, and right there with his feet. And he's trying to squeeze his ass, but there's too much movement in his foundation. Like the bottom part of the bottom half of his torso and all the way down needs to stay completely solid. There's no room for it to be wiggling around, because when that bar's over your head, that weight is gonna increase that wobble, and you can fall backwards and drop the weight and ultimately get hurt. And I did some snatch deadlifts. I'd never done them before. I just wanted to. It's just another experiment thing where I'm trying new things all the time, because I don't like to just get always into the same routine and the same lifts. It gets it can get boring sometimes. And this was a really good set from Max, I thought, but there's still, he's moving around too much. You see at the top where the bar is really bouncing, because he's so explosive that the bar leaves his back, it seems like, and the weights are really rocking. And that's something that I think he needs to fix. When you come up, that bar can't be moving around on your back. It's your stance. It's something that has to be consistent. Like it has to be something that's consistent. And again, here you see he looks forward. He's got a good spot on the wall, and then all of a sudden he looks down at the ground, and he's pushing the bar. He's pushing the bar a little too far behind him and not over the middle of his foot. And his body's rocking a lot. So he just needs to tighten that stuff up. And he's already a good lifter, but I think that'll kind of take him to the next level. And Giannis is just trying to get back in. We're doing hang cleans with him, just getting him back into the movement. He does a good job for a lineman. He's still got some stuff to work on. Obviously, he's young. He's only like 20 or 21 years old. So he's in there trying to get better too. He does a good job here. He could probably pick his chin up a little bit more, and then you can see where he's not equal. When you look behind, he kind of favors his right leg. He claims it's because of his scoliosis, but I think it's just something that he's not aware of. And hopefully, if he watches this video, it's something that can help him going forward. Because he's got a bright future as a football player. He's really a talented kid. But it's important in the gym that you focus on technique and balance, and take the time to do that. You don't have to go in there and crush workouts all the time. Go in there and work on stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.